60 million years ago, the largest predator alive was hunting right here. Not a dinosaur. The dinosaurs were already gone. This was a snake. 13 meters long, over 1 ton, thick as a human body. And here is the strangest part. A snake this size could not survive on Earth today. The story begins in a coal mine in northern Colombia. The Serpent mine is one of the largest open coal pits in the world. And coal is not really rock. Coal is a rainforest that was buried. Every seam here is a forest that grew, fell, and was pressed flat. In 2009, scientists pulled something enormous out of that coal. Vertebrae, backbones, but far larger than any snake bone on record. One single vertebra was wider than an adult handspan. They did not find one animal. They found 28 of them. 28 giants, all buried in the same ancient swamp. They gave it a name that says everything: Titanoboa. So how do you measure a snake from a handful of bones? A snake vertebra grows in step with the length of its whole body. Compare hundreds of living species, and that ratio holds up remarkably well. Run those numbers on Titanoboa, and you get something almost unbelievable. Between 12.8 and 14.3 meters from nose to tail. Around 1,100 kilograms. Well over a ton. Here is a green anaconda, the heaviest snake alive today, at 5 meters. And here is Titanoboa beside it, almost 3 times the length. At its widest, the body was roughly as thick as a grown person. Standing beside it, the top of its body would reach your hip. The skull that was later recovered measured around 40 centimeters. This is the largest snake science has ever confirmed. To understand the animal, you have to understand its world. 60 million years ago, this part of Colombia was a vast swamp. This slow brown rivers, steaming forest, air thick enough to feel. The dinosaurs had been gone for about 6 million years. Their disappearance left the largest empty throne in history. And in this swamp, it was not a mammal that took it. The water here held fish more than 2 meters long. Giant lungfish, ancient bony tongues, species mostly gone now. Crocodile relatives patrolled the shallows, some over 3 meters long. Freshwater turtles the size of a dining table drifted between the roots. Everything in this swamp had grown oversized. And moving through all of it was something larger still. Now everyone assumes they know what a snake like this ate. A 13-meter constrictor in a swamp full of crocodiles. The picture writes itself. Coils closing around armored reptiles. For years, that was the popular story. And then, the skull turned up. Teeth carry evidence. Their number, their shape, the angle they sit at. Titanoboa had an unusually high tooth count for a snake its size. And those teeth sat at a low, shallow angle in the jaw. The largest snake that ever lived was, above all, a fish eater. It is built for gripping something smooth and slippery and fast. The largest snake that ever lived was, above all, a fish eater. It spent most of its life in the water, not on the bank. Its enormous body was probably held up by the river itself. On land, that much weight becomes very hard to move. It could certainly take a crocodile, but mostly it did not need to. Which brings us back to what I said at the very start. Why is there nothing like this alive anywhere on Earth now? Snakes do not generate their own body heat the way we do. They borrow it. Everything they do depends on the temperature around them. And the larger the body, the more surrounding warmth it needs to run. So the size of Titanoboa is itself a reading of the ancient climate. Researchers estimated a yearly average near 90 degrees Fahrenheit, year-round. Today, the warmest rainforests on Earth sit closer to 82. The world Titanoboa lived in was simply hotter than anything we have. It did not disappear because something defeated it. It disappeared because the planet cooled and never warmed back. One more thing worth saying plainly, because it matters. We have its bones. We do not have its skin, so nobody knows its color. Everything you just watched is our best reconstruction, not a photograph. But you do not need to go back 60 million years to find a monster. One snake alive today hunts other snakes and builds a nest for its eggs.